Welcome to One to One with Simon Jordan. Next week, I want to talk about the Manchester clubs. So don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section below, and I'll do my very best to answer them appropriately. I'm not interested with the best will in the world in how it works for the player. I'm interested in how it works for the club. No. Difficult to see even one of them having a bright future right now. You've got a club in Arsenal that over the last 2 or 3 years have eroded the base of achievement to such a point that they've dropped out of Europe. 2 or 3 years ago, I talked about Arsenal being a club that's like an arm's length subsidiary of an American business. And if they don't start to be run properly, they'll find themselves out of the higher echelons of English football. And so that's proven to be. Tottenham are in a little bit of disarray. They've got no manager. They've taken a manager out before a cup final, which tells you there was something fundamentally wrong there. Obviously, you've got the debacle these two clubs have been party to, which is the European Super League, and their way of handling themselves in that situation was poor. But both clubs have got a great deal of history, and they've got a great deal of ambition at their centre. Arteta worries me, because I think that my original perception of him was that he had all the innate ability, and now I think it's more theory than ability. And I worry that he's going to be able to get them where they need to go, which is back amongst the top 6 at the very least. And Tottenham are in a state of flux. You know, they don't seem to have a lot of money. Their best player may well be out the door, although I find that very difficult to contend with the fact that anyone's going to pay the money for Harry Kane. If I'm being more optimistic for both of these clubs, I would probably think that Arsenal's future might be slightly brighter than Tottenham's, because there's probably a little bit less uncertainty at Arsenal than there is at Tottenham. Look, it's difficult without being behind the scenes to know what things you'd change at Tottenham. The first thing you'd do is you put a manager in there that ultimately fits the bill. I always thought that Mourinho was a strange fix. It was an ugly marriage that didn't look like it was made in heaven between Mourinho and Levy. It looked like it was made a little bit in hell, despite the fact that Mourinho came through the door with all the best intentions of being the bright, cheery one rather than the slightly dark, miserable one that Manchester had. Look, the first thing you've got to fix is the management. Then you've got to change the culture of that dressing room, because there's too much of it in the dressing room, too much backbiting, too many players that aren't fit for purpose and not enough substance. You've got to resolve the Harry Kane situation one way or t'other and dial it back a little bit. And you've got to decide if you're going to be a successful football club. And that really means how you're going to operate on the pitch more than anywhere else. Because it's all well and good being a wonderful stadium builder and a wonderful revenue generator, but sooner rather than later you've got to have a wonderful team to be able to harness all that. So I don't know if there's 5 things amongst that. The recruitment side of things, getting better players that have got more character, more substance, moving players on, because I think there's some dead wood in that dressing room and you need to clear it up, pare it back to basics and build from there. When you look at Tottenham, it's difficult to suggest that their success off the pitch is anything other than attributed to the way that Daniel Levy's run it for Joe Lewis. Obviously, Joe Lewis employs Daniel, and Daniel runs the football club with Joe Lewis's money sitting in the background. 2 or 3 years ago, we looked at Tottenham when Pochettino was in his pomp, whatever that pomp is, being a bridesmaid, not a bride, by the way, and Tottenham were up at the top of the Premier League, getting into cup semi-finals and getting to the Champions League final, having a squad of players with the best centre-forward in world football, Harry Kane, a group of players like Dele Alli that were on the front foot, and defenders like Carl Walker and Danny Rose that were building a very solid unit alongside the 2 centre-backs. Everything looked rosy in the garden for Tottenham. The finances off the pitch, fabulous, world record profits, the building of a new stadium. So it's difficult to argue that Daniel Levy isn't the right person to run Tottenham Hotspur from a commercial standpoint. Then you've got to move it over to the core product, which is the football team, and you probably need a better interface between Daniel and the next manager to try to take Spurs to the level that they've not been able to achieve, which is actually winning something. So I have to say, it's a two-sided answer. Yes, Daniel is the right person to be in control of Tottenham Hotspur, the business, but Daniel Levy alongside someone that helps him on the football operations might be a better fix.